So we had our big outage last week that we couldn't record live,
Yeah.
and neither of us could figure out the problem. But I
It was me.
just,
It's
I just
you know,
figured it
hello,
out.
I'm the, as Taylor Swift might say, hello, I'm the problem. Yeah.
I know that it was your problem, but I didn't know what it was because you couldn't figure it out, and you're pretty good with technology. So
I'm
I
pretty
thought
good.
that you
Yeah.
would. I thought you'd figure it out.
That was a stumper.
But you know what happened at the exact same time that you were recording?
What?
Those drones showed up.
Well, I know.
That was the problem.
Yes, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. I have theories on the drones of New Jersey, which should be a television show, by the way, the drones of New Jersey. But yeah,
good.
I don't think it's a coincidence that it was A, Friday the 13th, B, the drones showed up, and C, we had technical problems. So all those things are triangulated to be basically a huge conspiracy.
So we solved that problem, but you don't have anything to do with the drones. Like, for the record,
I'm not. I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Okay, thank you for your honesty.
You're welcome.
Just remember, everybody has your story to tell. Tell it well. Let this old marketing move.
And now, for your listening pleasure, here's Pulizzi and Rose, covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. This Old Marketing. Take it away, boys.
Well, hello, friends. Welcome to This Old Marketing, proudly brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals, and I'm Robert Rose. Welcome to episode number 459 for Friday, December 20th, 2024. Christmas is upon us. And with me, as usual, is my pal, my colleague, and a guy who knows exactly who's flying all those drones in New Jersey, Mr. Joe Pulizzi.
Did you have that plan? Were you going to talk about the drones?
I did, yes.
We didn't even plan that.
No.
It's just that's how...
It's the magic that happens when we're together. That is the thing. It is the magic that happens when we're together.
How long has it been since we've done like a real podcast with each other?
It's been a long time. It's been like 3 weeks because we recorded one in advance and then we ended up having to record one in advance because of my technical challenges.
Well, it happens.
But
as you and I were talking about before the show, I learned a lot about how can I show your clip and mine and the whole thing. And I think
you got a crash course in StreamYard is what you got. That's what you got.
We figured it out. It's okay. I learned a lot. I was about ready to call you and say, I can't get this to work. I'm not as good at tech as you are.
Clearly
it makes
I'm not
no
that
sense
good
that I produced the show. It makes no sense because you're much better. Like, whenever there's an issue or video has to be spliced, you're the person that does it.
Yeah, but I could not sort it out. It was something with an audio problem. The little meters were going up and down. I was recording locally fine. I could record, and do things on Zoom okay. But for some reason, the little meters, even though they were working on StreamYard, when we would test a recording, you couldn't hear me and couldn't do anything, right?
Yeah,
so we almost did it on Zoom, but recognized how crappy that would be.
So even us, after 458 episodes,
we care.
We
care.
Do we?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
It is.
We care.
We care. I'll tell you how I know we care, because we're going to be doing shows next week and the week after. Now we'll be recording those in advance so that we can spend time with our families and all that. But we care enough that we're going to be doing shows during everybody else is going to be dark. Like everybody, like Pivot's going dark. Not
even a special episode. They're just not.
They're not even doing it. They're just or they're doing reruns,
this could be our opportunity.
Yeah,
finally, after 10 years,
we're gonna break out. We're gonna be Joe Rogan big. That's what I'm predicting.
I've always wanted to be Joe Rogan big. I'm doing my goals for 2025.
You just have
now.
My
number one goal is to be Joe Rogan big.
All you need to do is drop about 100 IQ points and you'll be right there.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? He is incredibly smart. He's
so
intelligent.
He is not. He is
too. Oh my God. he is really, really, really intelligent.
He's not. No,
Just
no.
because you might not agree with some of the things that he does, doesn't mean that he's not
I don't.
smart.
There. Well, there's that. The both things can be true. It's both of those things can be true. I happen to. Well, and I am not saying anything here, but I happen to know people who know him. So I happen to know people who might have dated him.
Because you live
in the past,
you live in Hollywood.
That's
of
right.
Course, you know.
That's right.
You know.
And so they know his level of intelligence, and let me just guarantee you, it is not high.
Well, whenever like Pam and I are watching a show, or we just see a movie we like, or whatever, and we see a new actor, actress, we say, "I wonder if Robert knows that person." So then I text you, and I'm like, "Do you know?" And you always say, "Well, I can't confirm."
That's right.
Or deny.
That's correct. That's correct. It's part of being it's part of being a member of the Illuminati here in Hollywood, right? It's just you got to play it coy, man.
And you have played it coy, because most people don't know how entrenched you are in the Hollywood
machine.
You're one of the you're holding the strings.
That's right. I'm a puppet master.
You're like the guy above an NSYNC.
That's right. I'm here in Calabasas with the puppet strings.
Bye. See, you're doing that whole thing. But anyways, yes, I missed you. Miss talking to you.
I missed you too.
Good luck. Your football team is doing much better than mine.
Well, that's a low bar for both of us, right? It's been bad. It's been bad.
It's so bad. It's so bad. So we had tickets to the game.
Yeah.
On Sunday. Oof. And we were on our way down, and we went and we were with a bunch of people, and we park at the casino parking, and we were then going to go walk, and it was raining, and it was 35 degrees.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't feel like going. I didn't go.
And you turned around and left?
I didn't go. No, I stayed. We just stayed and waited. I watched some of the game at the casino, but I didn't go to the game. Wow. That's how much I care. That is, and people know I'm giving up my season tickets for next year. So if anybody wants them, I'm your guy. I transfer them over to
giving up your season tickets for next year.
Did I tell you that? I thought I told you that.
I did not know that.
Ticket holders for.
Are you doing that in protest for Deshaun Watson, or are you just doing that because they're not winning?
No, they have not won for 20 years.
I know that.
Only been to the playoffs two times over that period since I've been a season ticket holder. No, I don't agree with what management has done.
I see. So it's a statement. It's a statement. Boycott.
I can't support it anymore.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to go to a game because the Cleveland Browns are still my team. I absolutely want them to win more than most things in life.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
They have totally ruined this franchise over the past 3 years. After we had such a great team and a wonderful nucleus, and now the ones that they have. It's 3 years old. They're 3 years older. They're going right past their prime.
Yeah.
So you have Denzel Ward, you have Myles Garrett, who were just ready to go, and we've wasted a couple of years now. And
you could replace that. You could replace that with the Cowboys. And I mean, everything you just said is true about the Cowboys as well. Ownership has completely screwed this team up. They've got great players who are very quickly moving past their prime. And it's just, it's two sides of a coin.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, I won't get in. I know people don't want us to talk about this too long, but there's the Haslam group that Jimmy Haslam that owns the Browns. He's trying to take the Browns out of downtown Cleveland and move them just outside the city lines into Brook Park, which is by the airport.
Is there a stadium?
No, he wants to build a stadium and a whole entertainment complex because from what I can see as a business person and some of the things that I've read, he wants to control everything. He wants to control all the real estate, all the parking. He doesn't.
Oh, right.
He can't control all that downtown.
He's taking a page out of Jimmy or Jerry Jones's book.
Yeah, and a lot of other owners, so they can own the whole thing.
Yeah,
and they're taking this horrible Ford Motor Company used to have most of the land out there, and it's just it's unusable land. So they're going to have to fix that all up, and they'll take that buy it for a dime, and then rebuild this whole thing. And he's trying to get the the city, the county taxpayers basically to cover half. It's 2.4 billion, and we're supposed to cover half of it, which nobody wants to support. And why would we? Why would we want to support that? I don't mind the idea of being to create a dome stadium outside, but I want them to do it down on the water. I would move the stadium from where it is. There's another airport, Burke Lakefront Airport. I'd move it down there, rebuild, do the whole thing, create a stadium that's really worth going to. But
nobody who lives on the waterfront down there wants that, I'm sure.
Well,
those houses are beautiful down there.
Well, they're on Burke Lakefront.
Yeah,
they're gonna close that airport. It really isn't used. It's just for private. Private planes. It's not used that much. So they could build the stadium there. They could redevelop the waterfront. That's what I think they should do, and that'll give them 3 years to stay in the current stadium and then move over. But they don't want that. Because Haslam's then still can't control all the parking, all the real estate. So it's a control issue.
Yeah.
So whatever. They can fight their battle, and I'll root for the Cleveland Guardians and the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are in first place. So
love that.
Anyways, yeah, it's all unfortunate. But anything else happened while I haven't talked to you besides bad football?
No, other than the drones. No, other than I think it's all been it's just been crazy. I mean, the whole drones thing is sort of capturing everybody's imagination. I've seen some plausible. I've finally, 2 weeks later, have seen some plausible theories.
It's marketing.
No,
the drone. It's marketing by a drone manufacturer.
Well, that was one theory, but I think that's been.
What's the most plausible?
The most plausible theory I have seen is that they are, it would explain the reason that all the federal level politicians are sort of answering with a bit of a smirk, like, hey, move on to something else. Like, don't worry about it. Is because what they're saying is that it is a NASA-led program, and there's actually paperwork going back to show this, that there's a NASA-led program that is a drone-oriented program that basically puts up surveillance drones over populated areas that have sensitive areas within them, which the northern New Jersey corridor is a perfect example of this. And there was actually a proposal and a whole thing that's actually documented that people are uncovering now that said they were gonna try this as a beta test, right? Which was basically put up a few hundred drones across the northern Jersey corridor and use it for all kinds of basically high-level surveillance. And it explains why this same phenomenon, although not as well reported, happened in Northern Virginia last year. And so they're basically saying that it's a NASA program, right? And by the way, and all because of now everything looks like a drone. Like, I went outside of my front yard last night and I was waiting for DoorDash to show up, and I looked up and it was like, everything looks like a drone now, like the helicopters and planes and stars. They all look like drones now. So I think there's a lot of false reporting too, but I think that's the most plausible theory I've heard.
My favorite theory was I don't know who the person was, because I just saw the clip in the news, but said the drones are coming to stop the transfer of power from Joe Biden to Donald Trump. Here it is. It's starting.
There you go.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, so, fantastic.
Anyways. All right, what kind of show we got going on?
We got a good show. We have a fun show that has been saved up since you and I last spoke. We're going to start with new research coming from Pew Research that talks about teens and social media and technology. It's this on the heels of or on the doorstep of the TikTok ban, so we can talk a little bit about that. Then Marketing Brew is out with their biggest 2024 overhype trends. Be a fun one to talk about, sort of whether it's AI or not. Then content creators and the newsroom. It's interesting. There's some new trends coming out from Neiman Lab that talks about how content creators and podcasters are kind of the new journalism and newsroom. And so we'll talk about that. If we get time, we'll talk a little bit about Forbes cutting ties with freelance artists and writers. And then we'll get to our winners and losers. And my winner is the Pivot podcast, and I'll explain why. Joe's loser is McKinsey and the OxyContin settlement that just went down, something that tells me it's going to be about marketing. I'm going to rant a little bit about Santa and GPT. I won't spoil it. You'll have to wait to
I love a good Robert Rose rant.
What I'm going to hear about that, and then you're going to rant a little bit about Sesame Street getting kicked off of Max. Warner Brothers sort of ending their relationship with Sesame Street. Yeah.
HBO makes another mistake.
There we go. Yeah, and
what is wrong with them?
Filled with rants, filled with
chock-a-block of bad feelings.
Chock-a-block of snark,
of negativity.
That's my new book. That's what I'm going to make my new book is going to be chock-a-block of snark. There was
a RRR Robert Rose rant. There's a movie a couple years ago, Indian movie that was really, really good, called RRR. Have you seen it? No. Oh my God, the best dance fight scenes you'll ever see.
Dance fight scenes.
Oh my God, like seriously, anybody who has not seen RRR, I think it's on Netflix.
RRR.
You got to see it.
Have you seen the new Tom Petty documentary?
No.
Oh, it's really good.
No, I saw the Elvis documentary that we talked about.
Yeah.
Return to the King on Netflix. And I saw the Yacht Rock documentary, which
I have not seen that one yet.
Is the yacht. First of all, I forgot how all things begin and end with Michael McDonald.
I mean, yes, that's true.
Unbelievable. True. I mean, he is the center. Him and Kenny Loggins, really.
Yeah,
are the center of the Yacht
Kenny
Rock
Loggins,
universe. Yeah. No, I absolutely loved it.
All right.
So,
nobody
and Toto,
worry about me.
On the end of the documentary, the yachtmentary or whatever they call it, is Toto. Toto has Toto and the musicians in Toto.
Oh, Toto.
And Toto's coming to Cleveland, and I love Toto. Toto, Men at Work.
Oh yeah, some of the best session. They were the Toto was made up of some of the best session musicians in the world.
Absolutely. So, but Toto, Men at Work, and Christopher Cross are coming to Cleveland, and I'm like, I'm gonna get tickets. So I go on and get tickets. I was like, as soon as it opened up, I went and got tickets, and then I'm like, I should get a couple more just in case we have some friends that want to go. I went back, sold out, and they're like going for $400 a ticket in the pavilion now.
Back in the day, like about 10 years ago, we used to go. There's a club here in Los Angeles. I'm going to totally name drop now. So there's a club here called Cafe Largo, and it's where lots of live acoustic musicians will play. And Colin Hay from Men at Work used to do sort of a residency there, and we would go see him. Once every couple of months, we would go see Colin Hay play, and it's just him and acoustic guitar playing classic Men at Work songs, classic new songs. It was amazing. He's such a great songwriter. Yeah. So Men at Work. Yeah. Fantastic.
I didn't know what a Vegemite sandwich was until
there you go.
Colin Hay sang it. Men at Work. That was it. I had no idea.
You are the golden boy. All right. Anyway, so we get to the show.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, I don't know.
You're going to have to forgive us, folks. We haven't seen each other in a while.
Yeah. If we must.
All right. Let's get to our first big story here, which is teens, social media, and technology 2024. New research out from Pew Research. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat remain widely used among U.S. teens, and some say they're on these sites almost constantly. And boy, if you've got kids or see kids, you can see that that's absolutely true. The article opens up by saying, amid national concerns about technology's impact on youth, many teens are digitally connected or as digitally connected as ever. Most teens use social media and have a smartphone, and nearly half say they're online almost constantly, according to new Pew Research Center of U.S. teens aged 13 to 17 conducted this year in September. YouTube tops the list, and this is surprising to me, I have to say. YouTube tops the list of the online platforms we asked about in our survey. 9 out of 10 teens report using the site, slightly down from 95% in 2022. TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat remain widely used among teens. Roughly 6 in 10 say they use TikTok and Instagram, and 55% say the same for Snapchat. Facebook and X have steeply declined in the past decade. Only 32% of teens say they use Facebook. This is down from 71% in 2014 to 2015. That's huge. That is huge. Roughly 1/4 of teens say that they use WhatsApp. That's also very interesting to me. And only 14% of teens use Reddit. That's also fascinating to me, as I'm a big Reddit user, and I always felt like it was a younger crowd, but maybe it's not. Anyway, they asked about Threads as well, and it's very low. Only 6% of teens report using it. The study goes on to talk about a whole litany of things that are just fascinating when you look at how much different the younger generation is using these social media platforms and technology than, for example, we do. Any thoughts? Anything jump out at you from this that were sort of interesting, and specifically maybe interesting to marketers?
Well, I think that specifically, if you're trying to target Gen Z, you're not going to be on Facebook. So we know that. I think that, I mean, we've talked about this quite a bit on the show. I think social media usage among American children is at a critical stage. I think the two biggest issues we have are sports gambling, online gambling, and social media.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse. Now, so, okay, we can complain about this. It's a marketing show, so we could talk about societal issues some other time. I think so we've got that. But if you go from, a few years ago, 33% usage of Twitter X to 17% now, I think the jump in WhatsApp is interesting, 17 to 23. I mean, it's really the only one that's up significantly from the last couple of years is WhatsApp usage. I mean, I don't see a lot of difference in TikTok. I mean, still the same leveled out for TikTok, for Instagram, Snapchat. I mean, they're all about the same. It's just a lot of usage, and that the big four is YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. I guess the learning would be if we are going to create content targeting younger folks, let's just say younger folks that are under 30.
Sure.
You're probably looking at video first.
100%. Absolutely.
Right. So I talked to a young news outlet media company, and they were talking about, they're focused on their newsletter, which we're a big proponent of, and they're focused on some SMS texting, which is interesting, but I still don't know if I see the value in that or the spam. But we talked about the fact that there's just, you have to be video first to make these things work. So I think anybody out there, if you're saying, okay, well, what's going to be our core base? It's probably got to be something around Insta or YouTube. YouTube, I think, maybe more cases, because you got more options for different kinds of video.
Yeah.
And then secondarily, you lead them into something where you can get the data. I guess that's what the consistency of this is what sticks out to me more than anything else. Like, this is not new. Like, this is pretty amazing that we're not seeing major changes here.
Yeah. I think it's fascinating to me that, I mean, YouTube being number one was semi-surprising to me. I would have thought TikTok would have taken over from a time and usage standpoint, but I can see why YouTube. It's semi-surprising in the sense that, I get it, and I'm not that surprised, I suppose. Yeah. But to your point, it's TikTok and YouTube, right? It's really those are the two. Insta a little bit, but I think Insta really feels more very specific. You know what I mean?
Go on about that, because I don't know if I agree with that. Why do you think? Why would you recommend TikTok over an Instagram? Let's say.
The data point to that from a usage standpoint, and also I would point to our. We talked about it we talked about it separately last week, but we talked about the idea of e-commerce and TikTok and e-commerce, and it becoming sort of a big powerhouse in the e-commerce space. So if you're selling product, if you're and as a user of TikTok, I can tell you the ads are fast and furious there, and many marketing platforms are getting super smart about how they're leveraging the stars, the influencers on TikTok, to embed marketing messages within their sort of regular shtick. So, there's the dancing couples, or all of these people who do funny videos or whatever it is, and marketers are finding ways to get them to talk about the product without talking about the product. And so there are the straight up ads, like they're just, like you can literally click the button and go buy the thing. And then there are sort of the embedded sort of sponsored sort of videos, which are happening as well. So there's a lot of marketing happening on TikTok that probably is going a little underreported because it's part of the influencer economy or the creator economy, not necessarily the sort of straight up ad media buy, which would get reported as, sort of straight up revenue. And so the power of TikTok right now as an influential piece, and we'll get to this when we talk about, podcasting in the news, but you've got TikTok and YouTube, which are driving original content creators, the who, behind these things. Insta is, I feel like, and this is a feeling more than data driven, but Insta to me, when I look at Insta, first of all, it's the videos that are there are typically they're more millennial driven, I would say, and they're more and perhaps even Gen X. But you've got beauty brands there. You've got sort of aspirational vacation brands. You've got real estate. It's sort of, to me, the video platform of a Facebook audience rather than sort of a more edgy place to put your like weird, fun, influential videos where people are just going to scroll. Insta, you hit for the pictures, and occasionally you get a video that's really interesting.
Well, you would know, but I'm not. I'm not really on either platform, so I'm the worst person in the world to talk about this. So I'm just looking at the data. The only thing when I'm looking at very similar numbers out of TikTok and Instagram. Maybe to your point, there's different audiences and different types of content there. But the only thing that's just a question mark right now, which I think will be resolved, is the ban going through on TikTok on January 19th,
which is not going to go.
Which you and I think both believe is not going to go through. But until then, maybe by the time that this, in a couple of weeks, it'll all be resolved. But it is still an issue. I mean, if you look at Temu, was the #1 downloaded app in the United States in 2024, which is the Chinese.
That's way more dangerous than TikTok.
I don't agree with that at all. I think from a data standpoint, certainly. But from a sentiment standpoint, there's no sentiment coming out of Temu. This is just you could take that data and they can do whatever they want with it and see what kind of patterns. And I absolutely think that there's security issues there. But I mean, if you're saying, oh, we want to show more of this content than that content, well, that's TikTok. And that's the power of that influential platform. Maybe the most influential platform available right now, especially to kids that are just, I mean, if you want to shape the minds of young Americans, they can pretty much do it.
I don't think that's happening. I really don't. I don't think that's happening. I mean, look, here, let me
Of course it's happening.
No. Hold on. Let me be clear about this. Let me be super clear about this.
All right.
Because I think we do disagree, but I think we don't disagree I think we disagree on the symptoms. I don't think we disagree on the disease. I do think that young people's minds are being shaped in a negative way by TikTok. I don't disagree with that. I think there is a real problem with social media and content addiction, and all sorts of things, whether it's body dysmorphia or all kinds of racist sort of things that are happening, whatever the things are, right, that are really affecting because of the algorithm of getting into an echo chamber and getting into the kind of content that you get into to shape young people's minds. That I don't disagree with. What I disagree with is that there's some sort of architected way that China is doing this. I don't think that that's happening. I don't think that they're back there pushing levers like a Wizard of Oz saying, aha, let's show more drone videos from New Jersey so that they all think that there's a conspiracy afoot. I don't think that's happening.
I don't know. I guess that's the question. We don't know.
Yeah. So I don't disagree necessarily with it being banned, although I don't think it will be. So it's a little bit like, you might hate gravity, but gravity doesn't care kind of thing. But in that sense, I don't necessarily agree with it being banned because I think China is, in other words, if you're going to ban TikTok, you should ban you should ban Facebook too, right? So
yeah, you know what? That's fine with me.
yeah.
But the problem is that's we can't do anything with that. But that problem, I think, is beyond.
Yeah.
I think that if you look at how not only teens in this study, but you look at most Americans right now get their news, it's coming from social media.
100%. That's the thing, right? Is that we are, and this is, by the way, something that's happening with AI too, is we are starting to outsource our brains, right? We're starting to outsource critical thinking. And that's the real danger here with all of this technology, is that we stop thinking, right? We stop, I mean, here's a perfect example of this. So when I was visiting my father-in-law this last week, I was traveling, and I went and visited my father-in-law, who is in a retirement community home, and we were staying in the place, and he has no internet, he has no Wi-Fi, and so he doesn't look at his phone, doesn't look at computers. His main source of information is the printed version of the New York Times and TV. And so I got the Sunday edition of the New York Times, and I haven't gone through the printed Sunday edition of the New York Times in years. Used to do it every Sunday, but I went through it. And the feeling of knowledge transfer, I would just say it that way, after you go through the Sunday Times and you read everything, right? You read the articles, you read the sports, you read the news, you read the op-eds, you read all of the things, is just different. It's just a different level and a different depth of thinking than you get when you're doom scrolling through social media. And that I think is the real danger, is that, is that we're not spending the time, we're not spending the effort or the bandwidth of our lives to do critical thinking anymore. It's all headlines and clickbait.
Yeah. I think it's tragic, and I don't know what we need to do about it. I mean, that's why I agree. Like, even it's not, it's not on social media, but I would say if you're trying to get your news, please read it. Like, read the news. I know we see all the headlines, and then we see the videos, and we see other people's opinions on it, and that's out there. But I would say if you could stay away from that and just say, okay, let's get 2 or 3 sources that are in the middle as much as we can, that we trust as much as we can, and then we can make up our minds on that, instead of the way that most Americans are. Boy, I'll tell you, it's easy. It's really, really easy to sway a lot of people in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Right now. So,
well, speaking of swaying some minds, we should see how we did that? See how we did that?
Wow.
We should probably pay a couple of bills.
So, you want to be a marketer. It's easy. You just have to score a ton of leads and figure out a way to turn them all into customers. Plus, manage a dozen channels, write a million blogs, and launch 100 campaigns all at once. When that's done, simply make your socials go viral and bring in record profits. No sweat. Okay, fine. It's a lot of sweat. But with HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools, launching benchmark-breaking campaigns is easier than ever. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
Let me evangelize about a podcast for a second. That's right, The Sales Evangelist, hosted by Donald Kelly and brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network. Every week, Donald interviews the world's best sales experts, successful sellers, sales leaders, entrepreneurs in sales, sales people, who share their strategies to succeed in, well, yeah, that's right, like the name implies, sales. Folks like Jeffrey Gitomer, Jill Conrad, Bob Berg, and Guy Kawasaki, just to name a few. They share actionable insights and stories that will encourage, challenge, and motivate you to hustle your way to top income status. If you're someone looking to take off in your sales career and earn the income you deserve, this is the podcast for you. Find Sales Evangelist wherever you follow your favorite podcasts.
Well, now we have now we can do rants and raves and end the show. We talked so long about it.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got?
We got a couple of other really great stories here. So let's move on to our next one, which is 2024's most overhyped marketing trends, according to CMOs. And this comes to us courtesy of Marketing Brew. Really fun article. I thought it would just be a fun place for us to rant and rave a little bit about the most overhyped stuff. The article opens up by saying marketing can be a lot like your TikTok feed. Some trends are genius and others make you scroll right away. That is not the strongest of opening from
But
4
you don't
writers
really
who took it.
scroll, do you? I
Yeah.
mean, I guess you do.
Wow.
I guess you do.
Yeah.
Forget
Anyway,
it. Go
as
ahead.
we look back on 2024, we asked CMOs and other top marketers what they believed the most overrated trends in marketing today, whether it's inauthentic celebrity endorsements or ad tech buzzwords like curation. They didn't hold back. They kind of did, actually. But all right. Anyway, the big ones were so-so celebrity endorsements, half-hearted brand activism, outdated creator partnerships. It's sort of like here's what struck me about the overhyped stuff was they didn't really pick on any overhyped trend. What they basically said was good stuff done badly is overhyped. And it's like, okay, anyway, but anything jump out at you here that or want to add anything to this list?
A lot of these are actually about influencer and creator relationships that are not done well. It seems like over and over that's the talk. And the CMO at Duolingo, I think, has it correct and says that instead of these influencer partnerships and partnering with creators that really aren't a real part of your brand or your story, they go on and say brands should embrace the creator model at the core of their marketing team and structure, shifting their internal focus to behave like creator and like a creator and investing talent that can help build their brand. I think that's the move in 24 into 25, 26, and 27 is that your employees can be creators. If you're looking to, instead of partnering with a creator or an influencer, maybe you should bring them on. Maybe you should purchase their asset and bring them on as part of the team instead of just having these short-term campaigns that I don't think are working anymore. I think people want, kind of back to my conversation I talked to that media company about. I said, people want to connect with individuals who really that they want to trust and they believe in it. So instead of having your newsletter come from your content brand or your brand, it should come from that individual. Have that creator in your organization like own something. And I think all of these things in this article sort of talk to that about these half-done campaigns where they work with a creator or they work with a celebrity endorser, and they're like it just left a bad taste in their mouth. I don't know. What did you find?
But just to your point, I found when I read the article, I was like, this is such a perfect expression of what I've been bitching about for the last, 3 weeks or so since Content Marketing World, which is marketing is really at the end of 24 and hopefully shifting in the beginning of 25. And it's the reason that I'm, by the way, changing the entire focus of my consulting firm and all of that, which is basically most marketing teams are in the business of trying new things in a half-assed way. And so and it's not because they want to do things in a half-assed way. It's because that the fear, uncertainty, and doubt is so high right now about trying something that is a swing for the fences or trying something that is a commitment to changing the way that things have been done, this sort of incremental fixing, tweaking, sort of fine tuning, the CMS, or fine tuning our landing pages, or fine tuning our SEO, or fine tuning our email program, or fine tuning our, our creator partnerships, where you can do little things to try and fix things, but you can't do something big, such as commit to human creation within your organization, or commit to brand activism, in what you're going to do as a purpose-driven marketing idea, or commit to creative, and AI and how you're going to commit to it in some way. And I think that's really the overhyped thing. Is sort of like everything is overhyped right now in marketing. I would point to AI straight up. I would point to AI. AI marketing straight up is way overhyped right now. It is not. The success that I am seeing, to whatever success exists, is really human driven. Despite what you see out there sort of in the, oh my God, we just automated 20 people in our business. There's so much like there's so much of that right now in my
There's a lot of that.
feed.
Yes.
Where it's like, we are completely automating marketing. We have 2 people acting like 1,000. That no, you don't. You don't. Not with any level of quality, you don't. And the success I'm seeing is where care, feeding, creative humans are really involved and are, really doing things in a much more considered way, slowing down basically. And to me, I would just point to AI as the biggest overhyped thing of marketing. Just full stop AI.
In the content creation part of it, or the whole, or the
both of it,
everything,
but content creation,
part of it, the agent part of it, the whole.
I mean, arguably, that's what marketing is these days, is content creation. You know what I mean? It's like, that's kind of what it's content creation and distribution, right? That's
Sure.
really it. So whether you pay for that distribution or organically get that distribution, it's really creating content and getting it distributed. That's kind of what marketing is today.
Well, I think that, to your point on the other trend, what we see more and more on social media are the ads are content, right? Like,
Yeah, that's
really,
right.
whatever they're selling is in a very, very compelling short form
100%.
story.
That's exactly right. I would agree with that 100%.
So social ads. So we thought, we were thinking, oh man, so ads as we know it are going to go away on social media. It's like, no, they are stronger than ever.
They're stronger than ever
because they're packaging it differently.
Absolutely. And we were just talking about this, right, with regard to TikTok, right, with where marketers are getting super creative about how they're inserting marketing and brand messaging into fun, entertaining, and educational videos.
Yeah.
And that doesn't show up in the ad revenue number. Like, that doesn't show up on TikTok's bottom line, because that goes directly to those creators. And so there's sort of this hidden economy in the creator economy where it's a very long tail, right, of all of these people. But if you added all that up, I think you've done numbers on this, right? You add all that stuff up and it's meaningful. It's a meaningful expenditure within many marketing budgets. And I think it's for real. No, what I mean by the content creation stuff is, like, okay, have you gotten access and played with Sora yet?
I couldn't. The last time I checked, I couldn't get into Sora.
So I got in.
Okay.
Yeah, I got in this week and started playing around, and I have the same exact feeling with Sora as I did when I started playing with Dolly in the early days, which is, it's fine. It's fine. I really struggle with sort of use cases for this. I really do. And of course I see this in my social media. Look at this amazing 5-second advertisement that we can create using Sora. It's like, really? Okay. That just looks like shit, to be honest. So, okay, fine. Do you want to do that? You do you, right? So
yeah,
I'm nonplussed, as they might say, with the whole AI content.
Well, like we've said before, I think that we are in such early stages of this thing that this could turn so quickly on a dime into something we have no idea what it's becoming.
Well,
and that's what I think is going to happen. I think something, I hate to say it, like tragic or something really, really bad is going to happen, and we're going to change our behavior because of it. And it's going to have to do with artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And
I think
don't
you're
know
right.
when that is.
I think you're right. But also, to be very clear, I use AI every day. Like, I use ChatGPT every single day in my work, in creating and searching, and I have found it an extraordinarily useful tool, but not in content creation or distribution.
But I think in strategy and ideation,
research, I'm finding it very helpful in helping do some rewrite, so taking an idea and saying, hey, is there a way that I might state this a little more clearly, right? So, because I tend to write in very complex sentence. I am definitely not a Hemingway-like writer. I am, sentences that go on for paragraphs. So it helps me, sort of shorten and edit and write more clearly. So that's very helpful to me.
The one warning I would give to everyone is the past few, like AI, Gemini, Google summaries at the top have included wrong information.
Yeah.
So please do not accept what you read in their summations.
Don't outsource your brain.
To be true. Yes.
Don't
I had to
outsource
talk to
the brain.
somebody. They said, no, it says it right here that this is the thing. And I said, no, that's not true. I know that for sure. That's not true. Let's go find out. And then you find out through an article how they pulled that information, but it was not true.
Well, you know what's funny is that just exactly to your point, what I have found, and I've cautioned people, especially like my family and stuff, who are now using ChatGPT search more than ever. I said, keep in mind that the AI is always prone to answer in the affirmative. So it really depends on how you ask your question, right? So because I did something like, can can cat pee sometimes smell like strawberries? And basically, something just ridiculous like that, right? But AI will always answer in the affirmative, and it'll always
Yes, it's
say,
possible.
well, yes, it is possible for cat urine to smell like strawberries, because sometimes strawberries go bad and sometimes cat pee can smell like stale or rotten strawberries and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it'll find some way to rationalize the affirmative. It's always sort of, it answers in the, well, yes, of course it's possible, blah, 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 blah. Right. So if you're not careful about how you ask your question, you'll get very sort of interesting, creative answers.
Exactly.
All
right. Where are we going?
Moving along here, we have, let's see, our next story here. We're going to talk, well, you know what? Let's go right to winners and losers, because I think
that's fine. I'll put the other ones in the show notes.
We'll put the other ones in the show notes here, because we want to get to our winners and losers and stay on time, because we've been jabbering today. So you want to go first with your winner? This is where we pick a winner from the last week in marketing, or a loser in the last week.
I'm happy to. Mine is a loser. And this, let me bring it up here. This happened about a week or so ago. This is McKinsey. This is from the New York Times. McKinsey to pay $650 million in opioid settlement with Justice Department.
Yeah.
So this is the whole deal with Purdue Pharma and OxyContin, and the tragedies that unfolded from that. I don't want to go into all the details, but why I did want to bring this up, Robert, is that Purdue paid McKinsey to come in and figure out a strategic sales and marketing program around the sale of OxyContin, and they did a fantastic job. They left their morals at the door when they did so. But they did a fantastic job. And the reason why I wanted to point this out on this show specifically is just, you can get in a whole lot of trouble for really amazing marketing plans. So if you're working with somebody and you might not have a solid product that you're representing, but you want to do good work, McKinsey and the work that they did was amazing. Malcolm Gladwell, in his new book, the new Tipping Point book that he has out, went into detail. There is 50 pages that Gladwell goes through about what McKinsey did specifically that sent OxyContin to, and it's fascinating and how they just focused on certain kind of people and certain groups, and they went out and they created the sales and marketing program that just blew the doors off of everything, and by the way, killed a lot of people and continues to kill people. So you can get in a lot of trouble for your marketing plans, and that's my sort of warning to any consultants or agencies out there, is just be careful. You can get in trouble too. It's not just your client. So
no, it's absolutely the truth. I mean, I think in so many ways, the real tragedy or the real scandal of the McKinsey thing is that they were also serving the client of the FDA, right? And so they were serving two very huge conflict of interest.
Sure,
there.
Absolutely.
So they had inside information in terms of how the FDA would behave and what, where they could play and how they could do it. And sort of that affected, I think, in so many ways. And I think the real lesson to your point is that you can get in trouble. And the key is that not to work for, companies that have sort of, you have to use your own judgment here as a consultant or an agency or, a freelancer or whatever you're doing. You have to use your own judgment and value system to say, hey, I'm going to work with this kind of company. I'm not going to work with that kind of company. And there are plenty, like whether it's an oil company or whether it's a drug company or whether it's a media company, whether it's got a strong political particular, point of view or whatever, you have to make those decisions for yourself. But if you do make that decision to go into those things, you still have to have your values, right? You still have to have your values in there. And if the obvious answer is to do something that's against your values or against your foundational elements of integrity, you have to be willing to say no to that, right? That's the key, is you have to be willing to say no within the engagement of the client. And
back to your point about AI, when you're using an AI agent or any for strategic purposes, the AI is probably smart enough to figure out that the shortest path to success is often nefarious. So you just have to be careful with the recommendations. I think
don't outsource your brain.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of spoofing or having the AI help create bad reviews and negative reviews and create content that negatively affects the competitor is way easier to do than you creating content that tells a great brand story.
That will be
people to trust you.
That will be the tragedy, right?
That's where I think we're going to be. That's my big concern.
That is going to get uncovered at some point, that some company did that.
And when you got thousands of content robots out there, it's like, oh, here's the truth.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to decide what's the truth.
It really is. It really is.
What do you got?
I got a winner. The winner is, so it's no secret, we've talked about it many times on this show, that we're both fans of the Pivot podcast with Kara Swisher and Professor Galloway, Scott Galloway. And they just put on a great show. They just do a really nice job every week. And it's one of the podcasts that I don't miss every week. Although I'll tell you, I yell at Clouds a lot because he takes a lot of breaks. Let's put it that way. He's like you. He goes on vacation a lot. And so
he's like me.
I'm not even close to
you at least show up. Right? Status. So
yeah, you at least show up for those things. He takes a lot of breaks, and they have a lot of guest hosts and stuff like that. And it's just not as good. It's not as good when they're not together. Anyway, having said that, they have a big deal. Their deal with Vox is coming up. And the news article that we'll link to in the show notes says that CNN may actually be in the mix, which would be ironic for both of them, given their past relationships with CNN. Galloway had a show on CNN that was summarily canceled, and Kara Swisher, I guess, has got a new deal with CNN for a new show. Anyway, they're basically it when they look at the value of the show, it could be 7 or 8 figures. And that's just incredible. I think it's incredible news for podcasting in general. I think it's a testament to two people growing an audience and really, sort of combining talents and combining audiences to build something new, a new kind of media company. And I just think it's just a real winner. It's just a real winner. So congratulations to them.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Yeah. Like you, I listen to Pivot a lot. I listen to a lot of Prof G stuff. I think what's really interesting, if you look at the top podcasts, the podcasts like Pivot that are getting these multi-million-dollar deals, none of them are vanilla. None of them say, oh, we have to be right. We don't want to make anybody upset. Obviously, Pivot is way left for the most part.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then you've got certain podcasts that are way right. Those are the ones getting the deals. And I think that's why when you look at the top podcasters creating an audience, you don't see a lot of brands there.
No,
because you don't have a lot of brands that are really, and that's where I think the opportunity is. I think like Ann Handley and a lot of the people have said is like, you don't want your content to be for everyone.
That's right.
So I think that
and that's
brands learn that there's the opportunity.
And that's the story we didn't actually talk about much just for time perspective, but is linked in the show notes if you want to go look at it, which is the content creators in the newsroom. Like podcast, as this election cycle showed us in stark reality, podcasts are the new newsroom, right? Joe Rogan, call her daddy, all of those top podcasts. And what we were going to talk about here was sort of the idea that these mainstream media now wants a piece of that, right? And so there's a big play to be made here in podcasting. I think podcasting only gets more focused and pronounced in 25.
And because of these strong personalities too.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where the key is. It's not just podcasting. It's not just, hey, I'm a brand.
Yep.
I'm a company. I want to do a podcast. Okay. Well, if you're going to do one of those middle of the road Q&A podcasts like everybody else, it's like, might as well not even do it.
Exactly. That's a great point. That's a great point. Okay. So now let's get to our rants and raves section, your favorite empirically proven favorite part of the show, where Joe and I go off on a little bit of a rant or a little bit of a rave over something that's got us mad, like New Jersey drones are mad, or something that makes us feel real happy. Have you seen Wicked yet? Have you gone to see Wicked yet?
I have not seen Wicked. I was not going to go see it, but everybody that I have talked to loves it so much and has seen it multiple times. I feel like I have to go see it.
The same here. It's like, oh goodness gracious, my social media feed like just has fallen in love with, especially like apparently one of the songs is just like brings down the house. So,
well, I mean, I've seen Wicked the musical multiple times.
Same here, but I think it's a song that's
it's absolutely.
I think it's a song specific
it's
to the
a song
movie.
that's not in the.
I think so. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know.
I don't know. Well, we probably shouldn't talk about it because we don't know yet. But yes, I am at some point going to see it. I will see it over the holidays for sure. In the theater. Yeah.
All right. What do you got? What's your rant?
I'll put this up on there so everybody can see what I'm talking about. But I think everyone heard, this is courtesy of the New York Times, that HBO Max ended its partnership with Sesame Street. Now, they have said that old episodes will be available on Max through 2027, but they're not picking up the newer episodes here. I think that ends in 25. They've been going on since how long? What's the year? I'm looking for it. 1970 that they've been I mean, I don't know. Did you watch Sesame Street as a kid? I'm sure. I don't know if you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so did I. I mean,
it's amazing.
Here's the thing. They cite that they're not getting the watch ratings, and one and two, it doesn't fit in their persona audience target. I'm going to call BS on it.
Oh yeah,
it's
that's
probably not getting the ratings that they anticipated for whatever they pay. Yeah. And the reason why I wanted to rant on this is I think this is something that HBO Max needs to do for the good of society. Buck up and pay them and distribute it and just give it a bigger profile. You know what I haven't noticed is whenever I've gone into Max quite a bit and looked around how they do it and how they present their content and their search engine and everything. I haven't seen any, and maybe I'm the wrong target, but I didn't even know that they were having new I mean, is there something you can do? Maybe it's your problem because you're not promoting it well enough on your engine. Maybe you didn't think about that, HBO. I would just say, I think it's a tragedy. Hopefully somebody will also come in and give this the distribution it needs outside of PBS. But I think that this kind of programming is what's needed out there. And maybe they could, maybe if they had a better social media program along with it so that they do more clips on TikTok and Instagram, you get more people to watch it on Max. How about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's such a great point. I mean, and by the way, this ties to a direct marketing problem, right? It's absolutely a marketing corollary here, which is how many times have we seen content marketing programs fail, not because of the quality of the content, but because it wasn't distributed and marketed well, right? It wasn't promoted well. We didn't promote it well. That blog sort of died on the vine because all we did was sort of depend on inbound search to find it. We didn't, we created this amazing digital magazine that sort of didn't get any traffic, didn't get any leads. Why? Because nobody talked about it, nobody promoted it, et cetera. This is exactly it. And so we blame the content. We blame the blog. We blame the thought leadership. We blame the digital magazine when in fact it was a marketing problem, not a content problem.
You said it a million times. Your content is not your marketing. It's not the same thing. You have to market it like a product.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Couldn't have said it better myself.
I hope you have a big rave. I can feel it.
I have an old man yelling at clouds rant is what I have. So this week, as part of its 12 days of, I don't know what they're calling it, the OpenAI has this sort of 12 days of, what do they call it, listmas, or I don't know, it's some stupid thing where they're basically doing a new release of a new feature. This is where Sora came out, the whole thing. Okay. Well, every day, the 12 days of Christmas, they're releasing some new thing. I guess it's a cute PR sort of comms thing, whatever. Anyway, one of the days, I think it was day 5 or something like that, they released this new thing with the sort of advanced voice mode in ChatGPT that is Santa. So you you tap on a little snowflake in your, do you use the voice mode in ChatGPT on your phone?
I do not use the voice mode.
Okay,
Should I use the voice mode?
I do. I have before and do use it. It's quite good. It's actually really wonderful to have sort of if you're having a conversation and you sort of want to, have your phone next to you and you're talking with it. And one of the more useful things is now it's going to be connected into Siri for the new iPhone and all that. So that's a whole other thing to talk about. But anyway, they created this Santa version where you can talk to Santa. And the idea is that you can bring your kids in and the kids can talk to Santa, and which is really just a ChatGPT voice. Now, everybody's out there. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion. Maybe I'm just being, Scrooge here or something like that. I just found it super creepy. When I was a kid, I would actually, the way Santa was real, and Santa was very real in my household until I was well into my teenage years. And I still remember the magic of that. I still absolutely remember the magic of not knowing, right? Not really knowing whether the Santa was real or not. And that magic is I think becoming increasingly lost. And to me, that's a sad thing. And maybe I'm being nostalgic, and maybe, I need to, I need to be part of modern times or whatever, but it's basically a sad thing to me that magic is being lost. And I think this is the kind of thing that contributes to that loss. And the reason is because you go and you talk with your kids to this, and I basically said, I've tried it out, and I asked the AI, I said, is this really Santa? Like, I really want to know, is this really Santa Claus? Because that's something that a kid would ask.
Yes.
And of course it lies and says, yes, absolutely, this is the real Santa, and I'm really here, and I'm really in the North Pole, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you on Christmas Eve, and blah, 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 blah. And so I kept pressing, and I kept saying, well, tell me about the North Pole. Tell me about how you live and all this kind of stuff. And it makes up all sorts of stories, and, they're very banal, basically, but it's done in a very David Attenborough kind of voice and all that kind of thing. And it's just, the more I started to interact with it, I just felt like, oh, this is so not it's just so not real. It's just so not, and there's no magic behind it. It doesn't feel magical at all to me. It just feels like this is a gimmick. And it's like a bad mall Santa Claus, right? It's just like a really bad mall Santa Claus. And I think in so many ways, this is more creepy than it is cute. And it just feels like, again, we're outsourcing. It reminds me so much of that Google ad where basically the dad goes, oh, I'm going to have Chat GPT, or in this case, it was Google Gemini, write a letter to have my kid write a letter to the thing, because so having the kid not do the work, having the kid not experience the creativity, the magic of writing that letter to a famous Olympian. This is not having the kid have to do any sort of imaginative work, right? They can talk to Santa. And and again, I fully admit that I may be Scrooging out here a little bit, but to me, this was.
I totally see your point. I think you may be Scrooging out a bit too much on this one, because I think it's more. I think it's more of a capabilities thing, and here's where we're at type of thing. But I get it. I also think at the same time,
I don't think it shows off that much, though. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's just a different voice. It's just a different voice for their regular ChatGPT voice. And so it's the same thing, I mean, maybe they've tuned it a little bit to be a little more ho ho hoey and, all that, but
ho ho. Ho ho hoey.
Yeah, that's the name of my new album.
That's exactly what they need to do to make it more Christmassy.
It's not ho ho hoey. It's more hoo hoo hooey. There you go.
Yeah, it's the 12 days of OpenAI, and on the 5th day was a Santa Claus that Robert hated.
Yes, there you go.
Exactly. All right, what do you got going on for? Let's see. We're going to do some special episodes, but
we are next week. We'll record a couple special episodes because we care. We care about all of you, and we want you to have a good hour of entertainment while you're on holiday. But pretty much everybody's gone for 2 weeks, and I'm turning off the lights except for recording with you over the 2 weeks. I'm taking 2 weeks off. I will say, brand new year. I'm super excited, launching the new Seventh Bear.
I want to make sure on one of the shows, maybe the next show, you can spend some time.
I'll spend a little bit of time talking
why
about
you
it.
make, because I think that would be interesting. Not only that you're doing something cool, but that why you made the decision, and how you're branding and that kind of thing. I would
thank you for that. I will be glad to share that. I will be really happy to share that. So how about you? What you got? What you going away for Christmas? You traveling or?
No, here. We are here. We have family in. Molly the dog is back. Actually, as soon as I get done recording, Molly's waiting right outside this door, like waiting for me to come out and say hi. Doesn't know why I'm talking behind a door.
Okay.
So it's nice. You know, I'm not much of a dog person, but
Molly the dog is an exception.
Okay, we're having Molly in for a few days, and lots of family. Got cookie party tonight. Got lots of fun things going on. So
fantastic.
It will be great.
All right. Well, there we go. Thank all of you. We will, of course, see you next week with another episode. We're going to do 2 special episodes for next week and the week after of New Year's. We've got a predictions episode. We may or may not revisit our NFL types of things. So I hope you'll absolutely tune in for both of those shows while you're away on holiday. Have the merriest and wonderfulest of holidays. We will see you on the flip side. And just remember, everybody, it's your story to tell. Tell it well. We'll see you next week on This Old Marketing. Hey, thanks a lot for making it this far in this week's episode, and thank you all for being a part of This Old Marketing. You can check out all the show notes of what we talked about today at thisoldmarketing.com, and it's also where you can leave us a review or a voicemail. We need those reviews and comments on whichever platform you follow us on. And if you haven't followed the podcast, please go do that and make sure you catch the latest and greatest episodes every Friday morning. We're on Apple and Spotify and all your other favorite podcatchers, of course, but we'd love it if you went over and subscribed to us on YouTube. That's right, YouTube. youtube.com/@thisoldmarketing. We'll see you again next week, folks, with another episode of This Old Marketing.